What is up, guys? My name is BobaTalks and welcome back to a brand new Gotham Season 4 video. Now, I know it's been a week or so since my last Gotham video and I apologize for that. And this is a bonusy kind of video suggestion video. As you can see from the title, it is my top 10 favorite villains in Gotham. Now, when I was making this list, I had a bit of trouble because I nearly made it into a top 5 because not every single person on this list is necessarily a fully fledged villain, as you would say. For example, like Penguin or the Riddler, even though the Riddler's battling between his two personalities at the minute. So I was going to make it into a top 5, then I thought that wouldn't be enough. So take this as like a top 10 baddies slash villains, characters in Gotham, because that's kind of what it ended up being, because not every single person is a fully fledged villain, but some of them are still on the bad side, as you would say, even though some of them do make morally good decisions sometimes. But either way, you get my drift. So if you like this video, guys, go on to hit that like button, only if you end up enjoying it. And if you find yourself new to this channel, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with more DC TV content just like this. So starting from my least favorite to my most favorite, number 10 being the Mad Hatter. Now, the Mad Hatter, I felt like had to make the list because he's one of the few fully fledged Gotham villains that Gotham, the TV show, have actually done. However, despite some people actually really liking his season 3 story arc, I really wasn't a massive fan. I was, actually quite happy at the beginning of his story arc in the beginning of season 3. But then I felt like it dragged on, and then he kept coming back every now and again. And I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt like some of the episodes with him in just were kind of boring. Regardless that he's my number 10, that doesn't mean that I don't think he was, he played the character great. He was a great actor. The character himself was really, really Mad Hattery, if you will. But as I said, maybe it's just me. I'm not a massive fan of maybe the character. I haven't read too much about the Mad Hatter in the comics, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, I guess I enjoyed the character, but I don't know, I just felt like he dragged on a bit. Now, number 9 is Scarecrow. Now, that may shock some of you, it may not shock some of you. The reason why I put Scarecrow at number 9 is because we haven't seen, well, this is a disclaimer for some characters as well, we haven't seen a whole bunch of all of these characters, and that includes Scarecrow. We saw him like once or twice in season 1 with that episode, with that story arc with his father, and then, then at the end of that, he ended up in, a mental asylum. And then we saw him in season 4, and my biggest problem is I felt like maybe I was overhyped, maybe we all overhyped it too much, but I didn't feel like it was that amazing, albeit it was pretty amazing. It was just kind of underwhelming, and I feel like TV shows do this in general though. So if you watch The Flash and other shows like that, think of Flashpoint. And if you get what I mean there is, I'm not saying Scarecrow was bad himself, because I felt like the guy who played Jonathan Crane and the Jonathan Crane character was great in Gotham, especially the jump they made in season 4 with that really, really small episode arc we got. It's just the lack of episodes. He's been missing for a while. He may come back. I really don't know the answer to that. I don't think he will. They might be saving him for a future season. I don't know how much story they could give him. They couldn't give him a whole upgraded fear toxin within, just a first half of season 4 being missing and then coming back with a whole new one. I feel like that story would be a bit weak. So maybe they are saving him for a future season if we get another season. But ultimately, a character like this, number 9 on my list, suffers way up the list because we haven't seen a lot of him. And I felt like the amount we got from him wasn't enough. But I didn't want as much as the Mad Hatter, but I felt like we should have had a little bit more. But yeah, I kind of felt a bit underwhelmed by the end of the Scarecrow story arc. And then with that in account, in addition to the fact that we haven't had much Jonathan Crane, it just kind of makes me feel a bit like, I can't have you right at the top of my list. Now, number 8, I'm kind of worried about triggering some people, is Barbara. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with Barbara. I love the actor. I have absolutely no problem with her, but I don't even know if I have such an issue with the character. It's probably the writing over the seasons. So I put Barbara at number 8, and this goes back to my point of how, Scarecrow also suffered because of the fact we haven't seen loads of him. Whereas Barbara we've had as basically a series regular in most of the episodes of every single season so far. So we've had so much development of her. So that primarily is the main reason why I put her above Scarecrow, because I just don't feel like you can put Scarecrow above her when Scarecrow's only been in like less than, 5 episodes. I think he's only been in like 3 or 4 at max. I'm just really not remembering correctly at the minute. But Barbara, yes, we have had some very cringeworthy moments. She's gone off the rails. They've given her Harley Quinn kind of arcs and then pulled it back. But Barbara really has been brought back this season for me. And even actually towards the end of season 3, I kind of enjoyed her character a lot more. But mainly in season 4, I really didn't like the whole Ras al Ghul romance thing. But that literally just stopped within that episode. So thank God they did that. I have no idea if they plan to continue that. And then last minute we're like, no, I think this will make some fans mad. And then it just stopped after that, last scene we got in that one episode. But it hasn't been, seen anymore. All we got is that power transferal thing. So, yes, I really like Barbara this season. I feel like, honestly, some of you may think it's premature to say this, but this is her best season so far. I really like her with Catwoman. I really like her with Tabby, even after they've made up and stuff. I was a bit worried about the whole blunt sort of emotion thing vibe she was giving off at the beginning of the season, but she's kind of come back into her own. It's kind of weird. I don't know. But anyway, Barbara, I liked her. I didn't like her. I really didn't like her. I started to like her. I really didn't like her. But now I really like her. I think her character's just doing fantastically in season 4 at the minute. The sirens are brilliant. And that is why she's number 8. Now, number 7 might annoy some people as well, but I put Fish there, and I put Fish above Barbara, and I was just thinking, wait, why did I put Fish above Barbara? Was that right? And I remember the reason why, and that's because I've enjoyed Fish more than I've enjoyed Barbara over the course of Gotham. I know Fish is gone now. I know she went missing for a long time. The actor just, went off and probably, didn't really want much to do with Gotham anymore. But when we did see her, I enjoyed Fish's story arc pretty much 80% of the time. I know a lot of people, sorry I got something in my eye, didn't enjoy Fish Mooney and found her annoying several times. I've seen loads of people support Fish Mooney. But yeah, the reason why she's number 7, just as I said, mainly because I've hated Barbara's story arc and writing so many more times than I ever have Fish's. And so that, to me, just has to, instantly rank her up at least 1 more than Barbara, and then we've got all the other favorites to go in this list still. I thought Fish was just a good character. I felt like her plot did get pretty weak at the end, and that's mainly obviously because maybe the actor wanted to do other things and blah, 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 whether the writing fit in with the story that they wanted to do that season. Really, I think season 1 and season 2, obviously, is what highlighted her character. I really liked her relationship with Penguin. And then, when she washed up on that island with the doll maker and stuff like that. That was just, I really enjoyed that story arc. But yeah, not so much the very, very end with the freaks. I kind of thought that was cool, but yeah, she just did a lot better than Barbara over the course of this season. Okay, so number 6 is Ras al Ghul, and yes, that's how David Mazouz says it. Everyone just says it different. In Gotham, it's Ras al Ghul. David Mazouz, Bruce says Ras al Ghul. I don't know. I know in other stories it's Ras al Ghul, but Gotham do Ras. It's really messed up. But anyway, we're not talking about that. Now, I know we haven't seen a lot of him, but I think Alexander Siddig does a brilliant job at Ras al Ghul. I definitely feel like he was kind of overhyped. Because I feel like his writing hasn't been completely the best. But, for example, when we were first introduced to him in season 3, when he had, the very much so the look on, with his cape and all the robes and stuff, and then there's the Lazarus pit, all that was spot on. I love it. That was fantastic. Going back to the writing thing, obviously the whole Barbara thing and a couple of other things I thought was just a bit weird. I didn't agree with the whole death thing, even though I don't think he's dead and he probably will be coming back for the second half. But ultimately, I think Alexander Siddig has embodied that character. He understands what Ra's is all about. I thought the death of Alex Winthrop was very much so a thing that Ras al Ghul would do. I know this is such a different story because normally it's like Ras al Ghul meets Bruce when he's an adult, really. But, the way he's been toying with Bruce, the way he's been manipulating him, the way I feel like he's literally just being a puppet on the string, and Ras al Ghul is the puppet master. I feel like that's a great villain. They could have cast some complete wrong person for this role. So I'm really grateful that we got Alexander Siddig. He is above Barbary. He's completely above the Mad Hatter. He's completely above Fish. So yeah, it just makes sense for me to put him there. So number 5 is going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, where the top 10 kind of made things a bit difficult because Gotham is an origin show. And not everyone on this list has been fully fledged bad or villain the whole time. Albeit this person has been kind of on, you know, the mobster kind of bad side of things the whole time, even though he's been kind of a good, lovable person. And that is Butch. Now, the reason why he still kind of makes this list is because he's Solomon Grundy now. Obviously, I didn't put Solomon Grundy down because I don't feel like we've seen enough of him. And at the end of the day, he's not my favorite anyway. But Butch definitely made this list because I love Drew Powell. I've really enjoyed his character, especially in season 1 and season 2. His character definitely did take a hit in season 3. He hasn't been involved in as much, and I was definitely worried about his character. Everyone was speculating that he was going to die. And he technically did, but then the writers, you know, they all love Drew Powell so much that they wanted to turn him into Cyrus Gold, Solomon Grundy. But ultimately, as Butch wasn't ever really a villain, because if you think about it, even though he was with you know different people at certain times, or like he's been with like Penguin and stuff, he has gone against Penguin, and you know, remember when the Riddler nicks his place, and we know Butch is a good guy, but at the same time, he's still that kind of bad person who's made some very, you know, he's been a gun for hire, he's done all that kind of stuff. So yes, you could say he was a villain. That's why he made this list. And he's just, yeah, Drew Powell, Butch has just been a great guy, and he definitely deserves this spot. You know, I would put him higher, but there are just some other amazing characters out there. But he seriously did not deserve to be anywhere near 10. So my number 4 most top favorite baddie slash villain is Professor Pig, Michael Cerverus. Now, I know there's a bit of a debate on at the minute as to, was that even Professor Pig? I might make a video about that. I believe that was Professor Pig, as they called him Laszlo. The whole debate here, I know this is slightly going off topic, is that, you know, the guy said he was like imitating serial killers and stuff. But yeah, that's a whole thing for another time. But either way, I thought he was brilliant. He was totally Professor Pig at his very origin. So obviously we're years away from Dollatrons and stuff like that. But yeah, I think mainly Michael Cerverus brought such an amazing role. You know, talent to the role of, and brought this character to life on the screen. We've never seen him in live action before. We've only seen him in comic books, video games. So I thought that was brilliant. Now, the risky thing is, even for me, saying stuff like this, for characters who have only been in the latest season, it's kind of hard for me to place on this list, because it's like we've got characters that have been in it. For example, I just labeled Butch, but yet I'm putting Professor Pig, who's only been in several episodes of this season, in front of him. I think that's just because he had such a big role, Professor Pig, Michael Cerverus, that it was just such a grand role as well, and he did such a good job. I was so happy with it. And in terms of actual villains on this list, he is one of the actual fully fledged villains, so that is why he is where he is. So my last 3 are pretty predictable, and number 3 is Edward Nygma, or should I say, you know, the villainous version, the Riddler. Now, the Riddler is at number 3 for me because, well, the next 2 are just, in my opinion, my favorites over him. I do think Corey Michael Smith is a very good Riddler. I've really enjoyed his transition into the Riddler. I love the whole split personality thing, the struggles. I just like a story arc. There's been some pretty damn stupid ones at the same time. So if we're talking about, you know, the Isabella clone, or, you know, the Miss Kringle clone, which was Isabella, that was, I know it was meant to split him and Penguin up and stuff like that, but could you not have thought of anything better? Just stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he is the Riddler out of all the villains on this show, which, you know, out of the few, there's only a few, you know, major ones that are actually already established. He has to be in the top 3, so that is why he's there. And yeah, he's one of the main show's attractions. So yeah, the Riddler is quite deserving of number 3. So number 2 may surprise some of you, but I definitely feel like, for me, this is completely correct, and I've said this many times before, but Jerome Valeska is my number 2. And that's because this show isn't all about Jerome Valeska for me. And I'm going to try and not get in a tangent here, but some people literally only do watch this show for Jerome Valeska. And I'll get talking about Jerome Valeska in a second, but, you know, I've watched this show 16 episodes before The Blind Fortune Teller, 15 episodes, even, you know, aired. And I was enjoying it. I know some people say season 1 sucks, but this show, he's only been in a couple of 3 episodes a season, you know, 1 episode in the first one. So do you know what I mean? Like, I know he's an amazing personification of a younger Joker, but the show just isn't about him for that. So that's why number 1, I feel, is completely, truly deserving of it. But I'll get into that in a second. But let's talk about him for a second. Jerome Valeska. He is fantastic. He is one of the few fully fledged villains on the show. Completely villainous. He's ultimately going to be the Joker one day. It's very obvious, albeit the whole BS with the whole drama of is he or isn't he. We all know he's meant to be that person. It's very obvious he's meant to be that person. So in terms of speaking about the Joker, holy crap, next to Heath Ledger, he is my second favorite Joker ever. That is just the case. Cameron Monaghan was truly, you know, out of all the roles he's meant to play as an actor, he was born to play this one as one of them. It was just a destiny. Even though I've already said he's been born to play basically Jerome's, aka the Jack Napier of the Gotham universe, aka the Joker. The reason why he's not my number 1 is because he's not a series regular. The show isn't all about him, and there is another character, in my opinion, who was born to play that role as well, and I just feel like maybe even more so to play that role. But yeah, obviously I don't really need to go on much longer about Jerome Valeska, because quite simply you all know why he's at number 2, and I'm sure 95% of you have him at your number 1. And number 1, guys, it's fairly obvious who this is, and that is Robin Lord Taylor's Penguin. Now, Penguin is number 1 for the reason that the show is probably, like, he is the personification of the bad side of the show. It's very much so been about him. I know people have had issues of that, you know, there's been rehashed plots. So kind of, again, we've got the Riddler versus Penguin. Subtly this season, it's not obviously been as big as last season's role, or like you could argue, if not that, it's just a rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall of Penguin. But before Jerome Valeska ever came along, I remember the articles coming out at the time. Robin Lord Taylor, oh my god, he's amazing on Gotham. This guy is the Penguin. Who is this guy? This actor, he blew up. He was on interviews on Good Morning shows and stuff like that. He was the original Jerome Valeska, if that makes sense, in terms of hype. And he still is for me, even though I have a lot of hype for Jerome. Robin Lord Taylor not only is a sweet, loving, like, amazing, caring guy as an actor, and you believe it or not, a lot of actors aren't actually like that. He plays the Penguin so good. It is just amazing, and he's at number 1 over Cameron Monaghan, I guess, because he was kind of the OG fan favorite in terms of mine. He is basically, you know, one of the main roles in the show, and even though sometimes, you know, you get some, you know, rise and fall of Penguin, rise and fall of Penguin, and stuff like that, I never fail to love an Oswald moment. And I think as well, he's just such an incredible actor. The character is very complex, you know, whether that's Oswald, you know, really, you know, just wants family and stuff like that. And a lot of it stems from that. And just wants to, there's all of that. I could go on forever, but this video isn't meant to be all about that. I feel like Oswald Cobblepot in Gotham is extremely deserving of number 1. And I don't really have any more to say about him than that, because I feel like the character Oswald Cobblepot and the actor Robin Lord Taylor speaks for himself. Like, it just does. And so does number 2 as well. Like, you know. But yeah, that is my list, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your lists in the comment section down below. What is your you know, top 10 villainous / bad people in Gotham? Let me know, because I would love to read them, and I do read every single comment. I know I don't always reply back to them, but I do try my best. But do not worry, I do read every single one of them. So let me know your lists in the comment section down below, because I would love to see how your lists compare to mine. Other than that, guys, if you did go on to enjoy this video and you're still watching at this point, go ahead and hit that like button. It only takes 2 seconds, and it really does show your support for the channel. And if you found yourself new to this channel and you're still watching at this point, go ahead and subscribe. Why not? Because you can join this awesome community that we're building. That is everything you know, comic book, nerdy, geeky, and amazing. Be sure to check me out on social media. The links will be popping up on the screen around here. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.